gotta keep it educated. Welcome everyone to another installment of an educated discussion. I'm Elmo, alongside...
And I'm Felipe. And guess whose house we're in?
Elmo's house. Elmo's world.
Elmo's house.
Home.
Elmo's world. La, 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 la.
Home field advantage for me today. So hopefully I won't lose 3 arguments in a row.
Last time we were in my domain. You know, now we're in yours, so maybe you'll have the upper edge this time.
And we have this great baby doll that is slightly creepy and staring at you. It's not staring at you now, but watch. Like, every time you look away, it moves back.
It will turn its head. And
it's
you know,
haunted.
Maybe what we can do is I can post a picture of this doll on our Twitter.
Oh.
ed_discussions.
That's a great plug. You could also,
just so you can see what we're seeing and how deathly afraid we are of dying right now.
You could also follow us along on the previous episode, because this is a part 2, as I may have stated before. We did a tournament bracket to decide what is the best Sony console exclusive.
Yeah, the best PlayStation game exclusive. Yeah, you're right.
We had some heavy hitters. Let's go over who died in the who got snapped out of existence here.
Okay.
Astro's Playroom.
Yeah, gone.
Persona 4 Golden, which was sad.
Rest in peace.
Horizon Zero Dawn. Until Dawn.
A lot of dawns.
Forza Horizon 4. No. Uncharted 2. Uncharted 3. And then Felipe gutted Uncharted 4. Spoilers for episode.
If you want to word it that way, sure. I was gutted to have to do that, but okay.
We also cut The Last of Us 1. Miles Morales.
Oh, man.
Metal Gear Solid 3.
Just twist the knife.
Metal Gear Solid 4. And Journey.
Dang. Well, we just lost our viewers.
Yeah. You'll also notice supersonic acrobatic rocket powered battle cars.
You nailed it.
Was nowhere to be found, even to get cut. And I think that was a travesty for the real Rocket League fans.
I will be honest. It came across my mind when I was thinking. I'm like, no.
It came along mine too. But we've got 4 competitors left in our bracket here. They include such
titles as
luminaries as God of War, which will be taking on The Last of Us Part 2.
Oof.
And then Final Fantasy VII Remake, which will be taking on The Spider-Man, The Menace, as my good friend J. Jonah Jameson would say.
Yes. Dang, okay.
And we will reach a conclusion today.
Yeah, we have to.
We didn't last time.
The last cast was fairly long, and we think we kind of covered the basis of what we think about those games. We will get into a little bit more detail today to further, narrow them down, but I think we'll be able to reach a conclusion today. I know
we will.
Okay.
Because I am firmly set in what is the best Sony console exclusive.
So you have that idea in your mind, right?
I have the idea in my mind.
So do I.
I did go on a bike ride, and I was like, let me think about this a little bit. And I feel good about where my brain is.
Okay.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm curious to see if you can change my mind.
All right. Well, let's get into it.
Yes.
Soul Calibur. No. God of War versus Last of Us Part 2. I don't know where you sit here. I think I know, but then you said other nonsense, and now I think I reversed where my brain goes.
Okay. How did you want to start this?
I want to know what you think is the winner here. Felipe, as Elmo here in my house, my rules.
Okay. Without getting into it, if we're just skipping our explanations,
yeah.
As much as it hurts me to say it, God of War is the winner.
Okay.
Here.
What exactly makes it superior here? Like, because I feel like a lot of the compliments you would have towards God of War, you could just throw at Last of Us.
Real quick,
Part
before
2.
I start explaining, what would you say the winner is?
I don't know yet. I kind of wanted to hear what
you said. You
were
had
thinking. I just know what the winner is going to be.
Oh my god!
I just know.
What you're.
I just know what the winner is going to be.
It's ridiculous. What a terrible game. Okay. One of the things about if you've heard our cast before, I think probably The Last of Us 2 is up there with one of my favorite games of all time, if not the favorite game of all time.
Yet you don't want it to win.
But here's the deal.
Mhm.
When choosing a PlayStation game, you got to keep in mind everything about it. It can't just be it's the focus should be on the game, not the controversy that surrounds it.
Okay.
Okay? And Last of Us, unfortunately, was met with a ridiculous amount of controversy and just people being butthurt because their story didn't go the way they wanted to. Keep in mind, it's not a it's not a choice making game. Like this is a story that's being told. Just because you don't like a story doesn't make it bad.
It sounds like you're maybe even not purposefully alluding to Mass Effect here.
Well,
Is that correct?
Wait, what do you mean?
Because that was a choice game that storyline ending
Well,
led to
from
a
what
lot
I
of grief.
from what I understand with Mass Effect, even that it sounded like a lot of those choices, like this whole series was built on these choices, and then it kind of still didn't matter at the end. This is what I understood.
That's a
never
future cast.
Yeah, you never fully explained it, but that's what I kind of got from it. But regardless, just because you don't like the way something turns out or decisions made in a story does not make it a bad story. And then not only people were throwing that out, because the character didn't turn out the way they wanted or whatever, then they're throwing out, they're trying to fill a trans agenda or a LGBTQ, however many letters are in that nowadays. Like that's what the main focus was on that game. Like people were praising it and 10 out of 10s everywhere, Game of the Awards, or Game of the Year awards. I think that's the game that received the most, because those are people that are smart and are trying to evaluate the game for what it is and not the controversy it stirred. Because of all that, I that draws too much of the focus away from how amazing this freaking game is. It's so incredible, and I know you don't match my feelings on it, but I know you understand it's a great game. To me, it's masterful, and unfortunately, because of all the stirring controversy and it just took away from the game, and it didn't get its chance to shine the way I feel like it could have. And again, it still got the recognition from the proper outlets, but I can go into how that game affected just people that I know and their thoughts just because of the stupid what everyone was talking about it. So God of War came out, and there was nothing like that. It was a game, like it was already a fantastic game. It played incredibly. Its graphics were top notch, very similar to Last of Us, with the father and son, or father and daughter figure. I forgot if I said it. The acting was great. It was all there. It was a great package. And although I personally like Last of Us 2 more, that I said my reasons already. That took away from it.
So, if forgive me if I'm misunderstanding. It sounds like you're saying that the reason God of War is better is because it didn't have controversy.
Correct. It didn't. It was a game. It told its story, and it didn't stir anybody up and take the focus away from what you're actually playing.
Okay. So
some of the people that I've heard that said, "Man, Last of Us 2 sucks." I said, "Did you play it?" They said no.
Mm-hmm.
Why? You know what I'm saying? Like, no one ever said God of War sucks, and then I said, "Did you play it?" And they said no. No one does that, because there was no reason for them to think it was going to be a bad experience. I mean, they can take their thoughts on the previous games, but I'm sure if you're even remotely interested in a game, you kind of at least look up a review. Every single review is saying, "Hey, this God of War is different. This is not what was in the past. This is a different Kratos. This is even a different mythology. They're handling like a different like the camera is close. Like everything's just different. Like they really evolved here to make a different experience, but still keeping,
the spirit
of what the other games were, but being smarter about it."
Okay.
And I feel like Last of Us, as much as I love it, really pushed the envelope with a lot of the story decisions. And again, I love it because of that. But unfortunately, not everyone is intelligent like myself.
Well, this is educated discussions. We need to make the educated decision. And I don't think the controversy is enough to make it lose here. Like for me, I'm going to go fighting for Last of Us 2 here. I think you're wrong. If that's your reasoning.
I don't like this cast.
If that's
Why are you fighting for this game?
If your reasoning is the controversy, then you're wrong.
Mm.
Now, if you want to mention like actual fundamental problems that I think both of these games sort of share in a similar way.
Okay. What would those be?
I think
Lay them out for me.
You could say they have the same problems, but you have to think about like the mythology God of War is working with. So I won't go there. But Last of Us 2, I have a very big problem. And this is a future cast.
Right.
When Last of Us Part 2 comes out with the redoing and PS5 version.
I can't wait for that cast.
And that's going to happen. This is going to be a topic. Is the use of minorities?
Okay.
I think is abysmal. Like, it's actually, the more I think about it, the more like annoyed I get. And I'm not like, they took my pride. Oh my God. I'm not like that, but it's definitely, I think it's problematic. And I think it's something that could have been easily fixed.
Were there any minorities in the first Last of Us?
There were a few. And you kind of run into the same problems with them as in the second one. But that's a cast for another time. God of War, I think its use of female characters is pretty bad too. They barely have any, and then the ones
true.
that they do, I don't know how spoilery we want to get here, but I think there is pretty problematic as well. Is there only the one female character other than Kratos' wife?
Right, which we don't really see.
Yeah,
just see the spirit of every now and then.
Is it a spoiler to say her fate at the beginning of this?
There was the troubles from his past that he runs into, and there's a female there. But yeah, I think main like physical form, like in front of you, I can reach out and touch you.
So that's,
I'm pretty sure there's only just the one.
So I mean, okay, we could get into this. The fact that I don't know how much stock in the game part we want to take it and taking this, but it is a part of it. Look at the women in God of War. There's only one physical woman in that storyline,
right?
And I'm trying to navigate around spoilers here, but she proves herself to be someone who is sort of a cliche. And you have all of Norse mythology, and that's the one female character you put, other than the Valkyries, who are all just insane women. So
they're and I try to keep it PG here, but they're badass.
But they're like they don't have their sanity. That's the impression I got from the one Valkyrie fight I did. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to do more of these. I respect it, but that's too much. I thought about doing more, and I was like I get the game back to you, and it seemed like a challenge for another time.
Yeah, it was tough.
Did you do all of those?
No.
Okay.
No way.
But every female in here, they're not so cool, for lack of a better phrase.
I get what you're going at there, and I don't want to dive too much into it.
Because that's another podcast.
Yeah, it's another podcast. But the thing is, with the story that they're telling, you're going off Norse mythology. Look up Norse mythology. There aren't really any big women in there.
There's plenty of women, though. They could have done.
They
clearly take liberties,
but there's still
with the
more
fiction.
to tell.
There is. But that doesn't change the fact that they had this, and that game's not short. They had a long run time, and the only women in that game are not.
So you're using
ideal.
this to compare it to the Last of Us use of minorities.
And honestly, if we're gonna get real here, like Last of Us 2 focuses on a female told story, from a male director. I don't know. That's always going to draw more controversy. If this was Lady of War and it was a mother and daughter or whatever kind of deal, I think you'd see the same. It's just we live in a society where like the women aspect is going to draw more ire. So I think just because it's a female focused story, you're going to immediately draw more controversy because you got people out there not being so cool.
Right.
I think if this was Lady of War or Goddess of War, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
You would run into not as severe problems, but problems nonetheless that you would hear more about and see more discussion on. And this is Educated Discussions. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes.
I got to work on those. Okay.
I think the problems are similar. And the fact that it's men, just to summarize, because I'm going for a while, just because it's men, that's why you didn't hear about it.
Okay.
I need to know more.
Okay. So you said your piece on what's negative about each one. So then what's
politically, I guess.
Right. The thing is, I guess I get what you're saying. they still God of War still has this problem. No one brought that up. Is what I'm saying. No one brought up, oh man, you know what? Freya sucks. You know, no one says that. Well, and if they did, it was not a point.
But you know, I mentioned why.
Right, because it's a whatever.
We're in a male-dominated world.
Right. I guess so. But regardless, I don't think that a game should cause so much vile hate, to come out of people. I don't know. Okay. Keep convincing me.
We need to look at the game. Which one would you rather play more right now? Let's just take it from there and we'll figure out the discussion.
They both play so great. Mm-hmm. I have no idea.
What feels better? Plopping yourself on the ground, going prone, or pulling your axe out from far away? Let's talk about the feel. Both of those games, which would
I will say it's different. Okay. Animation wise and freedom of movement, Last of Us. Proning, going backwards, feel
like you're spitting bars. Proning, going backwards.
Yeah.
Like you're doing your hands.
Yeah, sorry. There was just so much different, and this is just how great that game is technically. There's just so many different variations of different angles that you can walk, whereas Kratos definitely felt a little more stiff. However, he's a huge dude, so I know they don't have that nimble movement. So maybe that's on purpose or what, but to me, I do love the nimble movement over the stiffness. However, that axe retreating and you flying it and you figuring out puzzles with it, to me, that is top notch. So it's a hit or miss. Movement wise, Last of Us got it by a mile. And then when it comes to God of War, I mean, that axe is just unique.
Which game has the better boat? I'm just joking. But they both do have a rowboat kind of deal.
Yeah. No, Ellie's his motor. Come on, man.
So they both have their own strengths.
Again, this is a tough one because I like Last of Us 2 more.
You love Last of Us.
Yes, I love it a lot more. But again, it's just, I don't like what that game did outside of the game itself. That's what's keeping me back. And I don't think a game should do that. A game shouldn't be judged politically. I think it should just be like, hey, this game,
I mean, but that's a step forward. It's a medium that's growing. Yeah. Some game had to be it to show like, hey, like we still have a lot of progress to make.
Okay.
Because people are. It's like if you're playing golf, right? Just playing golf.
Oh my god!
It's like you play ball. Like
I'm like, what are you? Oh,
a lot of misunderstandings with the game of golf.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of people like without the experience of it, they don't judge it properly.
Move on. Okay.
Both of these games, they run long in spots that I was ready to move on.
I can agree with that.
This is difficult. There's similar problems. There were times when I'm looking at some elves, I'm like,
see, the thing is,
for a while.
Like I mentioned in the last cast, I'm pretty stern with my opinions, and I like to keep them as much as I possibly can. This one is a little difficult because I want Last of Us 2 to win. I'm just trying to see this like as the full package, kind of like, this is a PlayStation game. This is something positive to look at. We're here to positively rank these games. When I see negativity around a game, that's what's bringing me down from choosing Last of Us. However, but you're trying to sway me on a game that I do want to win regardless, because that negativity didn't affect me. I was positive on this game, way more positive than you are, and you're championing it. So we're at your house. You gain the upper ground.
I have the high ground.
You have the high ground.
Yeah.
All right.
If we look at these two, though, I have trouble picking still. Like, I just didn't think the reasons were ideal. But I'm thinking to these two, what do I want to play more? I played Last of Us twice. Played God of War once. Probably says something.
Yeah.
I would like to play Last of Us 2. But like, just, I don't know. But then I'm thinking like, I gotta go through all this again. I gotta throw this rope, and the rope physics are cool, but like I don't need to do that, and it's stressful. But the accessibility options are really cool.
Yeah,
and those aren't in God of War I believe. And
Again,
to the
different
same
time,
degree.
2018
Mhm.
versus
2020.
2020. Yeah.
Then we have to consider the fact that, I don't know, the end of God of War, it didn't. There was one moment that happened. Like when I got to The Last of Us 2, I was like, oh, I get this.
Mhm.
But God of War, I felt it was like muddled. I didn't really get. I had someone like had to tell me like, oh, is that what happened? Oh, okay, I didn't realize that. Like, so clarity of story, Last of Us 2.
Yeah, again, it's a better, like I mentioned, it's a better narrative. I prefer the story over Last of Us 2. I do like the realism and how it's grounded, but still offering some fantasy elements you can't get in real life. Again, I'm telling you, I like Last of Us 2 more than God of War. I was just, I'm taken aback by the terribleness that it brought and the negative discourse.
Mhm.
But like I said, you convinced me. If you're really going for Last of Us 2, I'll
Think of that
partner
snake.
with you.
But think of that snake. When you saw that snake and he's like humming or whatever, and you see like Dead Men Tell No Tales kind of deal. And Venusaur.
Venusaur was cool. That like I said, like I mentioned last cast, that boss fight is incredible. Just anytime that you're up in the air and falling during that one sequence, it's all great, man, and feels good, looks good. I played that game recently. I was surprised with how great some of the story beats were.
I haven't played it in some time.
Yeah, there was like a scene I completely forgot about. I was like, oh man, that's good.
And there is the whole like no camera cuts deal.
Yeah, it's impressive as well.
That, like,
but
it's
a great game. These are great games,
aspect.
but we gotta choose one, man. We're here too long.
What are you choosing?
I already told you like choosing? 2 times.
What are you choosing?
I told you what my original thought was, but if what you choose right now is Last of Us 2, I'll go with you because you swayed me enough in that direction.
I'm trying to think of what is superior. As someone who's not a woman, I'd like to think I'm empathetic.
Wait, what the hell?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm not. I'd like to.
I never would agree to this cast.
I like to think I'm not. I'd like to think I'm empathetic. But the Last of Us 2 problems hit me more personally than the God of War ones.
The problems.
Yeah.
Okay.
So personally, I like God of War more than Last of Us 2.
Oh my god, dude.
But your reasoning was I didn't agree with.
The game you played once is better than a game
because I borrowed it from you. I don't own it. I don't think I would have played it again though.
Hey, man, you got the PS5. Honest. It's free on the collection. That's how I played it.
Oh. I got enough to play.
Again, apparently.
It seems like God of War.
Oh my god!
I like that you're conflicted now. This is why we do this.
No, I'm upset because you said you were gonna. I'm gonna go for Last of Us 2.
But I mean, I listened to what you had to say, and you said the controversy, which made me think once again about my problems with it.
Okay.
And I have some serious problems that we're gonna discuss later.
That outweigh the ones that God of War present.
On a personal level, yes.
Right. Okay. Now let's do it.
All right. God of War wins.
Jesus.
What?
What a twist!
You chose this.
I know,
you
but
chose this.
You lied.
Whatever. I didn't lie. We had a discussion. I listened to what he had to say.
Hey, everybody, rewind 7 minutes. Let me know what he said.
No, I said I don't like your reasons for cutting it, so I'm going to champion it.
Okay. All right.
Comment in the comments if you're on the YouTube version. Who you agree with here?
Do the podcast feeds have comments?
Give us a 5-star review and mention like the level of intelligent discourse that happened.
Okay.
On the Educated Discussions podcast. We're in the second half of the semifinals where we have for the best Sony console exclusive game, Final Fantasy VII Remake versus Marvel's Spider-Man. Is that the official title?
Yeah.
Okay.
I probably should have been calling it that.
Square Enix versus Insomniac.
Yep.
Okay, making sure. I know where you go, and you know where I go. So this is going to be a fun one. A really fun one.
I'm not budging on mine.
I'm not budging on mine.
Oh my god.
So
this won't go anywhere then.
It's going to have to go somewhere.
I didn't realize... I thought I had an idea for who your number one was going to be. Mm-hmm. And I just figured it out like a couple minutes ago. And I don't know. That's not going to happen. So, just so you know.
Listen,
That won't allow that in
This
my
is
house.
your time to air your grievances on Final Fantasy VII. Air them. Let's get them out there.
I threw all that knowledge out the trash, like into the trash at once I left it. All right.
If it was this awful, you would not have finished it.
Dude, I did this for you.
I also know.
I commit. I'm watching this terrible Castlevania show just for you.
It's. We'll talk about that later. I did one little bit of research because I was like, he's gonna bring this crap up. And what is actually interesting is on Metacritic they have the exact identical number score.
What?
They do.
That's cool.
When I last looked, they both were at an 87, and I was like, all right. I'm like, I'm not gonna do any like trying to like find sneaky ways to
you
win.
just be like the Metacritic's better.
We're just gonna go in because they are both exactly at 87, and I thought that was like perfect.
That's funny. All right, so Final Fantasy,
and just I'm aware it has flaws. It does.
It has plenty of flaws, a lot more than anything Spider-Man has to do. So there you go.
Well,
if you want to use that as your basis, Spider-Man wins.
I mean,
all right,
Spider-Man has some flaws.
The finale.
No, I would say Spider-Man has some flaws.
I'm sure it does.
I feel like one of your counterclaims will be, well, I have such like a nostalgia for Final Fantasy VII and these characters and everything.
Right.
But the same could be said for this one.
Exactly.
Spider-Man.
No, I made sure I specifically brought that up because I had a feeling this would happen. And I would be like,
Me too. Spider-Man. I wanted this one out of the way. This part. We both have a huge nostalgia factor here.
Your favorite game that you play annually, the original, and then now finally came out, and like you mentioned, you're at Disney now. You're seeing all these things that you saw, and now you're seeing them in real life. But like obviously not real life, but like makes it look more realistic than just crappy box graphics.
I'm walking through Cinderella's castle,
right?
Which I've never done, so that's the best example.
And for me, my favorite superhero of all time, you get to finally feel like you're him and doing the things that a spider does.
You did that on the GameCube.
I did that on PS2. I did not play it on the GameCube.
Oh.
I played Spider-Man 2.
I did it on the GameCube, sorry.
Oh, okay. Regardless, I have played games like this before. This is the best of those.
It's not perfect.
No game is, except for Last of Us 2, but
no,
I'm not gonna get into that again. No game is. No game's perfect.
They both have parts where I was like, I don't want it. I don't particularly want to do this anymore. Like there was the motorcycle sequence. I'm like, why is this still going?
It was way too long.
And then there were some forced stealth sections in Spider-Man, and I was like, I kept failing, and it was just like there was a point where I'm like, I'm gonna stop, get some water.
I will say,
just take a break for a minute.
I could usually agree with you on the forced stealth sections, and for the most part, they weren't the best in this game either.
But I
mean, I've seen worse in other games. But the ones that if I had to complain with Spider-Man are like the puzzle sections where you have to do them like on the computer.
Yeah,
those, and they weren't too bad, thankfully. And if you ever got stuck, just look them up online. You'll go through them quickly. But that's a quick puzzle that you can look up the answer to or figure out. There are sequences.
That's not a good like.
No, and you shouldn't have to go figure.
Yeah,
to
that's bad.
I get what you're saying, but
that's poor.
At least I have the ability to find a way around it and get through it. Versus a lot of the things in Final Fantasy that, like you said, that motorcycle sequence is way too long. As much as I really enjoyed the villain in that towards the end of that sequence, very interesting looking dude that I wanted more of that he wasn't in.
He wasn't even in the original. So
right.
I kept expecting him to show up again too.
Right. But that was too long. And then there was just some weird, awful feeling gameplay segments, like when he's doing the monkey bars. And it just, it took me out of it because it's like, I won't spoil anything that's happening, but some cops come in and they're like, oh, there he is. There's Cloud and or whatever. There's those rascals. And they're like, let's shoot him. Shit, right?
I was.
I want to explain it for the audience. So like, let's shoot him. And they're like,
they're shooting. And you are.
And you have to run away. You have to run away from these bullets. And then all of a sudden they're like, all right, you can't go this way, so you have to monkey bar across the room. And it was the worst gameplay I think I ever had in a modern game in a very long time. He did not want to.
You also play like a specific type of game.
I play everything.
You don't play everything.
I play everything. Anyways.
You ever play Earth Defense Force? No, I'm just joking.
No. I play good games. And he was controlling so terribly, and there was guns just shooting at him this whole time as he's trying to monkey bar around, and he just wasn't moving.
That's like a 2-minute sequence, though.
It happens 3 times in the game.
That
maybe twice with the gun shooting, because it's supposed to be like hectic. You're like, oh, hurry up so you don't get shot. Yeah. Clearly, you're not going to get shot, but it's like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose. The cloud's just literally just hanging there. I envision how it looks to them. They're like, what is this guy doing?
I mean, if you're just bad at games, then I guess you could have trouble with that.
Exactly. And if you're bad at making games, like the developers of this.
Jesus Christ.
What?
That was such a small, insignificant part of a much larger scale.
There's a lot more to discuss. That's one of the things that that really soured me right away. I'm like, oh.
And I don't blame someone for nitpicking at that, though. Because even as someone who like understood the context of why that was happening and what they were like alluding to from the original, which is still a part, even in the original, I'm like, where do I throw these barrels? I don't know.
Regardless of the context, Elmo, it should play better.
No, that's where I'm going.
Oh, okay.
Well, you got to the point. Like,
oh, okay.
Like I agree that section should have been better. But it was again a smaller part of a much larger.
And then again, and this is something I brought up. I don't think we ever did it in a cast or anything, but
no,
it's very Japanese, or not even very Japanese.
No, it is.
But
I remember I don't know if you're gonna bring up the dialogue.
Yes, I'm going to bring up the dialogue and the style it is. I don't mean to say Japanese, more like it's very anime. Now, obviously, Japanese anime go hand in hand, but I'm used to animes. I'm used to how the cadence of the way they talk to each other are. And with this game, as stylized as everyone is, they're still relatively realistic looking, and everything still looks kind of grounded versus an anime, which everything's it's an anime. Everyone, no one has that kind of hair. I don't know. It's very different. And then there's just like weird dialogue decisions where they like talk, and then like their responses are just like,
It's a little incongruous with
it's what strange, and it doesn't
you might be used to.
Yeah, and and again, I watch anime. I know how it's supposed to be. I get it. I see how silly it is. We brought up the inappropriateness of some of the decisions that the culture that Japan brings to, like when it comes to women and stuff like that. So I get all that. But even then, just it didn't work with me with how, because the game does look very pretty at times. It just didn't fit right with me, and it was kind of throwing me off. So a lot of the dialogue to me, I've seen this kind of dialogue done a lot better in an anime, and people are here like praising the story and how great. Wow, I can't believe Barrett said that in this moment. He's so great. I'm like, no, he sucks. Like at talking, like all these, it wasn't good to me. And again, I am familiar with this. Might not be the biggest avid anime watcher. I understand, but I can tell when a performance is good, and I didn't see any of that here. Like there was a couple, sure, but nah, I couldn't do it.
I just find it interesting that as someone who cut Uncharted and Last of Us,
right,
and Journey, you said no more bias. In my opinion, let's look at the larger scale. Cut it. But now you're kind of flip flopping.
You just told me to air out my personal grievances.
But I'm just responding to what you've said so far.
Okay.
But so I'm listening. And
I'm not biased. I'm answering your question. That's all.
Okay.
So I mean, there's more, I guess, but I don't.
We could go on. I could go on as well. That motorcycle section was too long.
The hand. Robot hands.
That hand.
Yeah, that hand.
I think with the other hand.
No.
Moment. Yeah, I was like, personally for me, I was like it was kind of just funny in a way, because that hand is infamous with me.
Yeah.
With like getting confused on it in the original. But think of like, I feel pretty sure that my theory that I had brought to you a while back is it's happening, especially with the way that game ends.
But you're not sure. I get what you're trying to bring up right now. You're trying to bring up this theory that It's a popular theory
I don't think we
nowadays.
should say
no,
it.
no, no, of course not. But it's a popular theory of what this game is doing differently and why it's considered a remake and or not even a remake, but like why the differences are there. And it was very enticing sounding, but we can't base it our excitement on a game based on a theory. That's my argument.
I mean, if
here.
a game can get you that invested in something like that, like that's there's a good game there.
Let me boil it down to what this theory is. Wow, this game made no sense. It's probably because of this. That's the theory that's what it sounds like. I mean, that's what it boils down to. Because like, clearly you know, you've played the full game, so you understand the stuff that I don't. Okay, this was my first. I never played the original Final Fantasy, but the whole point of a remake is to start over and kind of show you where it is. And what it sounds like is they're kind of taking into account the old game and acting like this is something else that's happening, not a retelling of the old game. I shouldn't be lost. I should be able to follow the story. And I understand that with certain RPGs, the stories can get really convoluted really fast.
Could you could sort of throw the same insult, not insult strong, but you could state the same grievance with Spider-Man a little bit too.
In what way?
There's a lot of like just pre-built pieces there that like if you didn't know Spider-Man, you could be like a little unsure of as well.
I don't think so.
I mean,
I will agree that you would definitely get more from the experience if you knew previous things, like how I mentioned in the last cast. Doc Ock's in this. Is he Doc Ock or is he just Dr. Octavius? We don't know, you know, because his story is a little different.
I mean, you know, though.
Oh, I know.
You know.
I don't think he was ever in
trailers.
trailers.
Were there? I don't recall.
Maybe I don't know. Anyways,
there's a lot of that one dude in the suit.
The Miles thing, you don't have to know who Miles is. They'll tell you exactly who Miles is in this game. They even give him an origin story.
Yeah.
So you don't need to know that. Mary Jane, you get that there's a history if you play the game and find the artifacts or whatever that come up sometimes. You get more of the history there and everything. Like I don't.
And you love reading.
Sure, but there is no reading. It's an audio, so whatever.
I think it's just I was reading along.
Oh, okay, that too. Regardless, I don't think that applies to Spider-Man. Sorry.
It does. I mean, you said it does to a degree.
It helps.
It does.
It doesn't be negative. In this case, there's negative. I have no idea what was going on in that story because they were trying to take the fact that, hey, you playing this? You played the other one. Let's see if you can see the differences in what we're doing here. That's what's going on with Final Fantasy VII. I mean, remake.
You also have refused to play like one of the largest games of all time.
I played it already.
History. No, the original.
Oh,
so
like
you're going into Spider-Man more biased as well. So it's good to just
I agreed to that already.
It's just good to recognize this.
We recognized it like 6 minutes ago, but okay.
And Spider-Man is awesome.
Thank you.
But for me,
moving on,
and it's a fabulous game. It belongs in this top of here. But the highs were way higher with Final Fantasy VII.
To you, because you experienced the game already. You have.
I didn't.
The
This was a remake of it. Remake is a weird word, but
what was the high in this game? Well, without spoiling, can you do that?
That's tough. But
allude to something.
There are certain characters that we cut Persona 4 for a certain reason.
Okay.
And we cut Last of Us for certain reasons. And I think this game fixes the problems that those games had. When it comes to Persona and Last of Us.
I guess I don't.
Last of Us 2.
I don't know what problems you're
talking
about.
There are certain problems with characters that are problematic that they fixed and made better.
So,
you said you liked Tifa at one point. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Tifa was cool. No, I like the other one.
Aerith.
Aerith, yeah. You're like, oh, so who you got on your team? Or I forgot what you said. And I was like, well,
you were around the hand part too.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I'm liking Aerith. She seems kind of neat, but I'm pretty sure one of them dies. I don't really know.
I also remember thinking I thought this was a good idea, but maybe it wasn't. Like you played Final Fantasy VII on easy.
Yeah,
and I think that led to you not experimenting with what the combat has to offer.
I wasn't interested in it to begin with.
Well, you never had to play with it as much. There's a ton you can do. Like if you play a game in hard mode, it's a completely different game. Like, and I'm not trying to exaggerate. It really is a completely different
I can imagine. There was so much items that I didn't even touch and use. And same deal with the spells. Like it's just
because you played on easy.
I played on easy,
Mhm.
but I had also played the demo on, I think, normal,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't like what was happening. I kept losing. I'm like, oh, I gotta start this all over. Like, I don't want to do this. The combat wasn't compelling to me to want to experiment with it. The combat was a barrier for me to move on.
You're playing Final Fantasy 15 now. I saw.
I started it.
How was that? Just curious. Because that was kind of like
I like
the
it more
first
than
take.
7 so
really?
far.
Because this was like let's refine the problems
Of 15.
that were 15. Like you were only one character.
There's a jump button. It's better already than Final Fantasy.
I don't know. You picked God of War. That didn't have a jump button.
That's true. He's too big. He can't jump.
Spider-Man has a jump button.
He has a swing button.
And
No, just go ahead.
the highs were higher for me from a storyline
I think
perspective,
you're taking nostalgia
from a
into
gameplay perspective, and from an orchestra perspective. Like the audio, I enjoyed way more than Spider-Man. And here's one point that I think will shed some bias, maybe, but I want to shed it because I'm talking about it definitively. A lot of the time, you can hear like a song.
You're so full of shed.
A lot of times, you can hear a song and then it's like redone, and you're like, oh, it's not as
Right.
It doesn't hit right. You're like, oh, I wish they did this. They took a lot of the music from the original Final Fantasy VII, and I think they made what is the definitive version of that music. I couldn't tell you.
Yes. Well, you're a huge music person. You really like. That's why you like Smash a lot. There's a lot of remixes there and everything. Like you really notice that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I got sick of that music.
I'll tell you, it's a part of the game. When I was looking for, like, as I remember reading reviews, like, oh, the feeling and the music when you're swinging is great.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking, like, this music's doing nothing for me. Like it was like so. People clearly worked hard on it, but it was so in tune with what I've heard before that I did not really get anything out of it. Maybe I need to listen to it on its own.
Okay,
but the music
I guess we'll try to bring this up quickly.
Mm-hmm.
The original music for Final Fantasy Remake.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have any of that, like, for your own listening pleasure?
Can you rephrase?
The original music for Final Fantasy VII?
Yeah, I have a few.
Okay. Did you ever have any Spider-Man songs?
No.
So then why would you use that as
I
comparison?
like that 90s theme song, I guess.
But,
music's a part of this. It helps make a moment.
That's a different comparison. You're bringing
But that's part of the game.
Sure, you're bringing up music that you were already, again, like I said, you're bringing nostalgia into
But
this.
they broke past the bias I'm going to have to the original and made something I thought was even better. And there are original tracks in there that I'm like, I've got on my phone as well. They added new. It heightened the experience as opposed to Spider-Man, which is awesome. And this is why this podcast sucks, as you said before.
Yeah,
because
I wouldn't say the music in Spider-Man is like super incredible. Like I can rarely tell you a game and be like, yo, this music slaps. Like, unless it's like a fighting game or something. I really don't know, but I would agree that when you're swinging, it feels like Spider-Man. That's what you're supposed to do.
But
the whole point of this game
before.
is you're supposed to feel like Spider. You've had Final Fantasy VII before,
but
you played it once every year.
I've swung as Spider-Man before, and I've had that euphoria.
You've swung that dumb blade around many times, and it's the same thing each time.
And then I was punching with Tifa.
Right? Could you not in the other game, or is that
in the original? Well, it was turn-based.
Oh, so you could punch with Tifa before?
Yes,
so you did that before.
You could click the menu, and then she would run up and do it.
Interesting. Okay,
you would click.
Sounds like you're contradicting yourself here, but it's okay. Continue.
It was not an immediate feedback moment in the past. Now it is.
Okay. Sure.
And Spider-Man is great.
Better than Final Fantasy VII, someone would say.
It's great, but my highs were higher here.
You're taking nostalgia into it, dude.
But that's you as well. You're like, I feel like Spider-Man. Like
that's not nostalgia.
There's nostalgia there.
It reminds me, like, man, I remember really liking Spider-Man 2.
You keep bringing that up.
This is better.
You keep bringing that up though. Like there's nostalgia there. Like this is the Final Fantasy VII original.
But this isn't Spider-Man 2. I'm not.
No, it's not. It's a new game.
It's a new.
This is a new game too.
No, you're playing the same stuff.
You yourself said, "Oh, it's different."
But they're taking into account the knowledge of the first game. At least we think, because again, you're basing this on something that we have no confirmation on.
Right, we
just
don't.
what you think.
But there's enough clues there that it feels pretty definitive. And the fact
I don't know,
and they
man.
could have just made a remake and they didn't. Like they put a spin on it, and that's like really brave Spider-Man is very good. I don't know how brave it is.
What is brave about Final Fantasy?
That they took something that there's so much like nostalgia for, as you've said, and
what?
Twisted. I'm trying not to say anything like spoilery, which really
Twisted it. They changed some things,
Mhm.
and because of these changes, you think something might
Mhm.
happen.
Regardless,
That's not brave. That's you thinking they might be brave.
Regardless of like theories or not, the Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 cannot go in the same direction as the original did. Like regardless
based on how it ended.
Regardless of theories, like there is clearly a different path forward than there was in the original. So theory or not, the Remake 2 is going to be different. And I'm going to play Spider-Man 2. Not the GameCube one or the PlayStation 2 one.
Yeah.
I'm going to play those. So
Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
My highs were higher, and some of it comes from nostalgia, but some of it comes from like I really enjoyed that combat. I enjoyed putting the all with the free Blizzard and throwing out different combos there.
I won't argue the combat. I know for people that enjoy that kind of combat, it was great from what I understood. But I don't know, dude. Like I knew this would come up eventually.
Mm-hmm. We could bring up the door. That's
no. I think
that's
a low blow.
I think we should. That's just a reason.
It's fixed now.
No, it is, but just to put it in the video for fun, like good for old time's sake. That door was
for
awful.
Way too long. The door.
That wasn't bad. Like
Cloud's
I don't
apartment.
know what. Okay, that was poor decision making.
It was
poor decision making.
Somehow worse than PS1's graphics. I don't even know how they did it. But anyways, yeah, dude, I need you to take
my nostalgia out. Is that what you're gonna say?
Sure, but I need you to take kind of like my approach to these. You gotta
There's
be
no
able
rule book.
You gotta. Well, I made
this is the educated discussions.
You gotta keep
Sleepy
in
and
mind,
Elmo.
You gotta take away what your preference is, and really look at the flaws and take away nostalgia, take away your bias. Sorry, and really focus on what is an actual good game. Are there really parts in Spider-Man that frustrated you longer than the parts that frustrated you in Final Fantasy? Now, you could, before you answer that, I could see that not being the case because you love Final Fantasy. So even if there's frustrating parts, I could see you just, well, whatever, I'm still playing Final Fantasy. That's the way I feel like you might be taking those frustrating parts. Is that really the case? Would you honestly say that?
I mean, I've said before, I can acknowledge there are some flaws there, and there are like that part you mentioned. I'm like,
there are more than Spider-Man.
What am I doing?
Or I'm sorry, Spider-Man has more of those flaws.
No,
sounds like we're a winner.
No, we don't. We don't, because the highs are higher in terms of like, excuse me, in terms of like, this is so preference based. The highs are higher in terms of like what I got out of the combat. I enjoyed playing Final Fantasy VII's combat more than I enjoy playing Spider-Man's. I enjoy moving around as Spider-Man more than I do moving around as Cloud.
Okay.
I did not enjoy going through smog clouds or whatever in Spider-Man.
You can do that once, but sure.
I did. Just like some of your I don't know how many side quests you did, but you could skip those too.
I did not want to play any more of that game than I needed to. I just played the story. I'm like, all right, let me see what else to talk about.
But I mean, I'm vividly remembering a very frustrating part of Spider-Man in my head.
This the smog.
No. That was just annoying, and I did it like 2 or 3 times. Like, this is stupid. And then you were getting like little audio clips, and I was like, "This, shut up."
I will say the Harry stuff. I didn't care too much.
No,
all the MJ stuff and all the artifacts we found, those were all great. But
playing as MJ was. There was
a couple parts were okay. Some were bad.
I remember being like reading some reviews and everything, and hearing some other casts, and people were like, "Oh, the Mary Jane, blah blah blah." It's like they were talking about it so negatively, and I was like, "This is fine. What are you talking about?" It's
fine.
But there was one moment, and I was like, "How many times do I got to do this? Just let me be him up there.
Yeah,
just let me be Spider-Man."
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said,
Mhm.
both games have flaws.
Mhm. I
think
like
Final
this
Fantasy
one
has
has
a
better.
lot
It
more
has better.
flaws.
It has better combat. It's better to play when you're playing the meat of the product.
No,
There's far more versatility.
I don't think
I was doing the same few combos. Oh, that guy has a shield. Let me do this instead. Like that.
Can
was
you jump? You can't jump.
You could climb the bars.
You can do a lot more climbing in Spider-Man
You
if
could
that's
do
your
a lot of
basis.
You could do a lot of climbing.
Dude, I don't know what to tell you.
Mhm.
Final Fantasy ain't winning this.
I don't think it's as good as Final Fantasy VII though. Spider-Man, I mean,
It's so much
it's
better.
great. This is a phenomenal
Check
game.
the Metacritic.
They're the same. That's the problem.
Dude, I don't know what to
And
tell you.
if you're trying to take this into
here's
this
the-
bigger scale kind of
here's
deal.
the deal.
I'm listening. I've done a lot of interrupting. Sorry.
No, it's
now I'm interrupting saying I'm interrupting. Listening.
Regardless of who wins this,
Mhm.
it won't beat the other one.
You that's a discussion for another time.
Well, it has to be.
We're not at the discussion yet. We're deciding this. Don't worry about the future. You ain't that so Raven. We're talking about this. Phenomenal.
I cannot.
Higher highs. Some lower lows. That's what makes this a controversial decision. Sorry, no one can see what I'm pointing at. Final Fantasy VII has higher highs.
Yeah.
Spider-Man
I don't
has
see what those highs
better
are.
lows.
I asked you earlier what those were, and you haven't said anything yet.
Because I'm trying not to spoil anything.
Allude. I
There's
said allude.
that Coliseum moment.
What's Coliseum? The fights?
That final fight in that Coliseum. I was so upset that was in the trailer. We said this in the last one.
That's not a high.
That is a high, man.
Yeah, talk to your dealer. That's not a good high, man. Let me tell you. Oh my god, that's like a fun Easter egg that they like. Hey, guess what? Here you go.
Yeah, but that fight in general was
You're gonna
really
bring that up
cool
over.
that was really cool. Like even if you're taking out the nostalgia there, like that was like the combat decisions you had to make in that moment was really cool. Which you missed out on because on easy mode
fine.
he doesn't.
You want to use that?
All the,
you want to use that as your basis?
Okay.
Fine. A game you should be able to have a very similar experience in a game, regardless of what difficulty you choose.
Mhm.
If I'm having a different experience because I'm playing on an easier difficulty, that shouldn't be a basis of a good game. The game should have found a way for me to be able to explore all the stupid mantras. Not stupid. I don't want to be mean. The dumb mantra stuff. Like,
Mantra?
is that what it's called?
What do you?
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of something else.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Mantra.
Mantra? Where
What
you
is
getting mantra?
Hold on. What is the name of the elements?
Materia.
Materia. Okay. Sorry. The game should have found a way for me to explore that, even on an easier, even if it was an easier way to do it.
So you wanted it to be harder. So that would force you to do that. Like if
No.
hitting circle or whatever to hit to
just be like, hey, this house, these hits ain't doing nothing. You better hit me with some fire. Or whatever. Like, I don't know. I didn't really touch it that much.
But that was the experience I had.
But so why would I be hindered if that doesn't sound like a good game?
It sounds like you would have maybe enjoyed that fight more if you had done that.
If I changed the way I wanted to play, I would enjoy it. That doesn't sound like a good game.
I mean, if you
That's
play
what I'm
like,
saying.
You have, some games you have to play in a certain way
for
at certain
example,
points.
the reason you brought up the highs of this dumb thing we can technically talk about because you brought it up last time. This dumb house. You're basing that high over anything a Spider-Man has to do because of how you played when you played on a difficulty setting. All the highs that I can
normal
reference,
difficulty setting.
Sure. All the highs that I can bring up in Spider-Man has nothing to do with the difficulty.
I mean, I'm sure that would be. I don't know. You really like fighting Kingpin that much? Like that was that like this like.
I'm not bringing that up as a high.
Moment.
That's a tutorial.
But
sequence. That's the beginning.
Okay, I'm just trying not to spoil things.
I'm just saying.
You really like those quick time events?
Any of the highs that I hate this phrase that we use. The highs. Any of the highs that we're using that I can bring up from Spider-Man have absolutely nothing to do with how difficult the game is.
Okay.
And it sounds like you're basing like, well, I had a better experience because I like these games more and I played on a higher difficulty, so it made me change.
I played on the normal difficulty.
Higher difficulty.
But that's different though because you're going back. You're going backwards.
It doesn't matter.
I would have a different experience playing Spider-Man on the easier difficulty versus the Normal? I probably would have maybe
You
enjoyed it
would-
more
you-
because this freaking shield guys.
No, those guys suck.
They do.
But
they're
but
annoying.
but again, we're talking about the highs here.
Mhm.
The highlights of this game.
Mhm.
Nothing to do with difficulty in Spider-Man. And I feel like if the highlights in a game are depending on what difficulty you're choosing to play, because you're saying, oh, you want to play on easy. What if I was disabled? What if I had to play on easy due to something? So now these
you
people,
got film with Spider-Man. But continue.
you know what I'm saying? I feel like that shouldn't affect that shouldn't be a.
So then Dark Soul, Bloodborne. Thank God we kept it off this list.
I wouldn't have brought it up.
Dark Souls 3.
I understand what that game means. It is a fantastic game. It's one of my favorites. I will not bring.
So
it
you're
up on
saying
this
Dark
list.
Soul,
and it's not exclusive.
You're
anyways.
saying Elden. That's true. But you're saying Elden Ring. Whatever comes out in the future, it could never win against a game that has more direct. I'm trying to find the right way to phrase it, but like the direct
Accessibility?
difficulty. Dark Souls could, or Elden Ring, or Bloodborne could never reach the.
It could win like a game of the year, but the best of a certain like in this kind of list, like the
Mhm.
best of this, I don't think it could.
I think that's.
Because you got to take into account the whole package.
I am taking into account.
and
the
if
whole
someone's
package.
excluded from this package, that's not a good game.
I mean,
Oh, it could be a good game, but what I mean is it won't propel it to be.
playing the former God of Wars helps a lot with some of the great parts of God of War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
hmm
I don't get what you're saying.
You're saying that the what?
No,
No,
I'm
listening.
I
I'm
can't
listening.
believe you're not being educated about this.
I am. Spider-Man's awesome. I really enjoyed my time.
and
when
Final
my
Fantasy
time-
VII is okay at
And
best.
when my time was done, I was done.
is okay at best.
And with Final Fantasy VII, they could have easily butchered this and screwed it up, and I
They
want to
did.
play it more. I'm gonna go back to this game. More people are gonna go back to Final Fantasy VII.
You're playing again.
More people are gonna go back to Final Fantasy VII than they'll go back to
I
Spider-Man.
don't think so.
I think so.
No, I don't think so.
Because now you're saying like difficulty that shouldn't be indicative of a product, but like you can
All right,
go
let's
back
go to
and play
sales.
Final Fantasy VII
Let's see
maybe
what's
on
sold
hard
better.
mode, and you have a new
let's see what's
combat
sold better.
system there. I don't know.
Me neither.
Okay.
I was like, oh, please have Spider-Man sound better.
You know, we could just check out
Yeah,
of
let's look it up.
curiosity. It's watch Spider-Man and be like, oh, it's on Steam.
Is
So
what?
that would mess with it probably.
I don't think it is.
Say something fun while we do this. This is pointless, by the way.
We can just cut this out.
No.
Nah, don't worry about the sales.
Oh wait, I didn't type in sales. That was the whole point of it. 3.3 million its first 3 months. They don't really put out
Yeah, they don't
numbers
do the whole
anymore.
thing. Don't worry about it because well, is that really going to be our deciding
No,
factor?
it's not.
Okay,
I'm
so then just forget it.
Oh, more than 5 million copies
For what?
shipped.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know.
Yeah, shit.
I don't know what those numbers.
Dude,
are.
I'm telling you, dude, it's you're taking nostalgia only for this game.
It's not
and
nostalgia.
That's all it is, dude.
They have a completely different combat system. I really enjoyed that combat more than I enjoyed Spider-Man combat. It is a very, most of the time, pretty game to look at. You are underselling just how
dude, and we haven't
you're
chosen.
You're just looking at like if we're looking at the whole product. The music's better. I think it looks better. The dialogue is worse. There are more annoying moments, but the combat is better too.
What's worse, the dialogue?
The dialogue is worse. Yes,
Yes.
Mhm.
And what else is worse?
the annoying moments.
Okay.
That motorcycle drive is too long.
Anything else? Anything else that
I-
you say that it does worse than Spider-Man?
There's not as good verticality as you stated. The verticality is worse.
See, okay. Audience, for those that are listening,
Mm-hmm. Comment your thoughts on the YouTube version.
you gotta see where I'm coming from here. Okay. Right now, I'm not gonna make a decision yet, but I'm gonna pretend.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here's the problem I run into.
Uh-huh.
I wanna get this over with because this is hurting me on a level, and it's making me question your intelligence. So the way I want it, here's what I see doing. I'm like, let me give this to you. Right. This is your
Okay.
house. You like this game. This is your, again.
Okay.
I won the last one to my house. However, if you're gonna sit there with a straight face and try to tell me Final Fantasy VII is better than God of War, I don't think I can stomach that.
We can't.
I will die.
That's another conversation. We're in the middle of this.
No. But that's
conversation.
what I'm saying. If I let this happen,
if we're picking the definitive best one, we can't take into account like, oh, is it going to lose later? No, this is the fight we're in.
The best one is Spider-Man over these two. That is the answer.
No,
There's no debate. But you're here debating it
because
so.
Dude, no. The world agrees. The God of all numbers, Metacritic, that you pray to on a nightly basis, agrees that they are neck and neck.
Right. And you have one that has, I want to say, a much stronger bias and nostalgia factor for your game. And then you have me, who has a nostalgia factor.
You have a severe love of Spider-Man.
I love Spider-Man.
That exists outside of this game. That is going
but
to
I can also recognize when a Spider-Man game is bad.
You think? Oh,
I don't like Shattered Dimensions.
I've played Shattered Dimensions myself. It was not great.
So,
regardless of like our biases here, they are ranked the same. So we have to come to like an agreement there.
Take the user score. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like because then, like you're saying, like nostalgia might. I don't know. Spider-Man has a lot of nostalgia too.
Yeah, but so will Final Fantasy. I don't know, dude.
I mean, we're doing. Look, I don't like using the phone during this.
I'm just afraid of how long this is going to be for this next one. If I let you have this, and you're really going to try to tell me it's better, then I'll question things about you.
Is this the last episode of the?
This might be the last one. No. You should have just done our own personal list.
No, this is.
I can't believe you're gonna hear trying to tell me that Final Fantasy VII remake is one of the top, even 2 PlayStation games.
I mean, tournaments are weird.
No, that's what it's coming down to.
If we're looking at games,
real quick, without discussion, just curious.
Yes,
you said this. Would you say Final Fantasy VII remake is better than Last of Us 2?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Last of Us 2 has a lot of problems that I hate. I hate a lot of the problems I have with Last of Us 2.
Who are you?
I mean, I could say the same. We just have a fundamentally different opinion.
I know.
He likes
That's the whole point of these.
Why don't you go look up Joel's butthole? This is joking.
What? How do you know what pages I go on?
Your wife.
Yeah. Okay.
She sent it to me.
Yeah. All right, dude. I don't know what to do anymore. We got to move on.
We need to make a decision. I think Spider-Man's great. Like this,
then that's why I should win.
But you dislike it. You dislike Final Fantasy VII because you were playing something you particularly didn't want to play because you were trying to like be a good friend to me.
Yeah.
And maybe if you had played it under different circumstances, maybe we'd be in a different situation. But we didn't.
I wouldn't have played it under any different circumstances.
Oh, you wouldn't have played it at all.
That's what I'm saying. And then I'm like, all right, everyone's talking about this game. Everyone's saying it's so good. It's also one of Elmo's favorite. Let's do it. Did I get it from you? Did you let me borrow it? Okay. Yeah, so you let me borrow it.
I gave you the steel book. I'm just joking. I don't know if I did.
That's just not a good game, dude. I can't in good conscience let that win. But
you may think that, but the world thinks they're the same.
I mean, there's different factors. How many people reviewed this one? How many people reviewed Spider-Man?
So is that going to be
no, don't.
Okay.
Stop getting your phone.
Well, no, it's just like a fun stat. I don't know. Final Fantasy has 8 more. Thank you for giving me the chance to edit now because you didn't say Elmo.
Oh. Elmo.
I do have to be on my phone now to mark this. Elmo.
If I let you have this one, it is not winning. You got to keep in mind. I won't. We won't be here all.
We haven't discussed Final Fantasy and God of War is a different conversation. We're talking about Final Fantasy and Spider-Man. You yourself said Spider-Man is not going to be God of War.
It won't.
No. What's wrong with Spider-Man? If it's this heralded game that has flaws that are so
there's nothing wrong with Spider-Man.
What's better about God of War?
What's wrong with Final Fantasy? That's what we're talking about. It's not a good game.
But all the parts that's not true.
It's not a great game.
All the parts
fine.
that are annoying end with not much time in between. Parts you don't like.
You know what? Fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, look at the face of Felipe here. He is very upset.
What? Fine. Have your Final Fantasies.
Okay.
I'm curious to see where this next conversation goes because I will be very upset.
I'm circling in the and coloring. I don't know, because apparently Spider-Man's better than Uncharted 4. It's better than Last of Us 2. It's better than Metal Gear Solid. That's what you're
by
saying,
a long
right?
shot, yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay, I thought it was better than Uncharted
No,
4.
no,
Shut
just
up.
kidding.
Shut your mouth.
No, it's just the way the tournament
Just
break,
your mouth. Yeah.
worked out. But
Well, no, because you said this is the number 2 game, but that's not what this means.
I know.
That's not what this means.
so Final Fantasy VII remake.
Who's hotter,
versus-
Mary Jane or Eric? No, I'm just joking. But we're not getting into that conversation. And now we are at the finale, the finals of the best Sony console exclusive game. God of War, 2018's God of War.
Yeah.
Versus 2018's Final Fantasy VII.
2018?
Did I say 2020's? No.
You said 2018.
Oh. 2020's Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
That's what I meant.
I was like, no way,
No,
it's been out that
no,
long.
no.
I know the intergrade or
That's
interlude
in
or
the
whatever.
future.
Okay.
Yeah, we're deciding what's better. So
This better be a minute-long conversation.
just hear me out. Just
I
listen to what I
have.
have to say here.
I have.
Listen to what I have to say here. God of War wins.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a win.
Oh,
It's a
thank
win.
God.
No, Final Fantasy VII has enough flaws that the highs of God of War, while not as high for me, I can respect.
The amount of relief I'm feeling right now is...
But I mean, let's take this into consideration. I think of these 4 games.
Forget what I said. You're intelligent.
No.
Well,
Listen,
okay, it's still
because then
questionable.
that's a
but-
lame finale. When it comes to the combat, I think Final Fantasy VII is in the top 3 of the final 4 we got here. Personally, the
I
combat
see what
is
you're
not
saying.
as good as God of War.
Okay. All right. Continue.
When it comes to the dialogue, because that was a problem, God of War wins.
Yeah.
Cool moments. I really liked a lot of what Final Fantasy VII did in terms of with its aesthetics. But that snake, what's his name? I gotta find his name.
I don't know.
That snake's name.
Dormammu or something. I don't know.
That is not.
I think that's the one for Doctor Strange.
That snake. I just remember that you could have had any conversation, and if you just
The
said,
World Serpent. I know it has a name,
yeah,
but
what if you said, "Yo, that world serpent"? I'd be like, "Oh, you mean the snake?" That would have been my immediate reaction. Bringing back that axe always felt good.
Mhm. Audio design in that. Fling.
Yeah.
Just that snappiness.
Treatment towards women, that's a little more in the air. I think just Japan being Japan makes that a little makes that a weird conversation.
Sure.
But
But I will give it to the like I mentioned in the last cast. There is credit. I expected a lot more comments towards a lot more perversion towards Tifa and even Aerith or who else was in it? What was the other chick name that's just horny for Cloud the whole time?
Jesse.
Jessie. I expected a lot more comments towards them, and I actually didn't get them as much as you would
I
think.
remember being suurprised as well. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a maturity here that
Right.
I did not expect going in.
Yeah. So I will give
Character
it that.
design wise, it was like,
Yeah.
did you? But then I have to remember they toned Tifa down.
Okay.
She was.
I guess I gotta
Have you
look at
seen
what
ori-
she.
Have you
no,
seen original Tifa? Do you want me to
No.
show you original Tifa right now?
I'm afraid.
We're this far in. It's. I don't know if we're gonna put this on the image, but
No, I'm
I
going
mean it's in Super Smash Brothers.
the image of Tifa is in Super Smash
Like the one I'm
Brothers?
thinking of.
Oh wow,
Look at this. Like that they.
that's not too bad. She looks
Mm, dude.
bigger.
no, they toned her down for sure.
No, dude.
They did.
Maybe.
Look at the difference.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, there is a difference there.
All right, I see it now.
They could have toned her down more.
I don't know. I think they just proportioned her
Well,
best.
they
Whatever.
put- they
Let's
put
just
her,
move
They
on.
put her in more
Feel weird.
appropriate upper wear.
Right. Sure. More in quotes. But
Well,
okay.
as
move on.
inappropriate, like the kind of undergarments you would wear. We've been saying "boy" for years now.
Yeah.
Nothing from any of these other games are as quotable. That's just a weird thing to say, but God of War feels like the right choice.
Okay.
I
Now,
mhm.
all right. I don't have anything to argue there. As you can tell with my previous arguments, that would be the one I'd choose
Mhm.
because the fact that I allowed this freaking game, Final Fantasy VII Remake, to get to this far is just a testament to my patience. So no surprise there. However, when I originally asked you who you think your winner is, who was it?
It's God of War.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
Yeah,
mine.
no, I knew going in that this would be the result.
But the fact that you almost swayed me with Last of Us 2, I was like, if he wants it, I won't fight it.
No,
Okay. But I was surprised when you were saying it. I'm like, crap, I could have sworn he really liked God of War. And for him to which, because I know you like Last of Us 2, but you don't like it nowhere near as much as I do. And the fact that you were trying to go that over God of War, I'm like, maybe I misread him. Like, why is he really trying to go for Last of Us 2? Because I know he didn't like it as much as a sane person would.
Part of me was also like, I would have the debate would have been, this would have been the most biased, horrible debate at the end if it was Last of Us 2 versus Final Fantasy 7.
No.
Yes, it would.
No, but
it would have.
No, it would not have. Because
I'll go on Twitter and you will see people do not like Last of Us. I'm just joking.
That's why I wanted.
I know. I'm just joking. But that's like you love this. Like you said, it's one of your favorite of anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's this.
It spoke to me, but I don't have nostalgia from it.
I mean, Last of Us 1.
Sure, but
and the Left Behind or whatever.
Yeah, that was good too.
And your Pedro Pascal TV show you're getting. I'm just joking. But
I hope that's good.
Okay. This is a definitive winner, as in God of War.
Okay.
I don't think personally, if Uncharted was up here, there would be different conversations happening.
I agree with that.
I guess if there would have been some weird swaps, but Uncharted is the only one I would have fought God of War against.
Really?
Like actually tried to fight.
Yeah, I'd have to say up there with my top 3 games would be Last of Us, Uncharted, and God of War. In that order.
Jesus Christ.
But again, I'm trying to keep it smart.
Elena, you had Elena in part 1 and you threw her away. Because you're like, this bald muscle man is very attractive.
I got to find a good picture to use for that. Okay. I'm happy that I was devastated with the last conversation. This one, I'm glad that it went the way it should have been.
It's the right winner for this predicament.
I just burned like 8,000 calories. Like I was so nervous.
You're not even wearing your watch. How do you know?
I just know, man. All right. Is there anything else?
Let's pay respect to some phenomenal games. Let's very quickly mention and recap. What are some awesome games in no particular order?
Of the ones that we cut, or just in general?
This is a celebration that even though you didn't win, you are still loved in this home. And Felipe's home. And hopefully your home at home. And if you haven't played any of these, you should play them.
Shout out to Miles Morales. Which to me, if you were going off of that basis of the frustrating things, dude, you gotta play Miles. It cuts out so much of the.
We're gonna swap Ratchet and Clank.
Okay,
I'll show you that room. Why there's been no progress. On
show
it.
me. Yeah, so that was my first one. Miles is a much tighter package. I think you're really gonna like that one if that was your big complaint. But go ahead.
Let's celebrate games everyone should play. Even to experience it, because I know one I'm gonna mention. You, but yeah, play that, you idiot.
Which one?
We know. Last of Us 1. You should play that.
That's a great game.
Journey. Felipe's not played any Metal Gears. I feel bad for what I said.
I played Ground Zeroes.
I feel a little bad about so quickly dropping Metal Gear 4. It's just it had tough competition.
Yeah, no, of course.
If Metal Gear 5. Oh wait, that's not a console. Anyway,
yeah, it's not.
Miles Morales, as you mentioned before. Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man. Last of Us Part 2, God of War, our winner. Uncharted 2, 3, and 4. We seem to not like Uncharted 1.
It was great for its time, but I mean, it doesn't hold a candle to the other ones.
Final Fantasy 7.
Lost Legacy we didn't even bring up. That was a good one too. They changed
short. Whoa! I thought you meant the Vita.
No, that's Golden Abyss.
Oh, okay.
No, Lost Legacy. Chloe and AD.
That's really good.
They're pretty good. Different level design in that one.
Astro's Playroom, which I thought could have
had
a better chance here.
Yeah.
Persona 4 Golden. I think I said Final Fantasy VII already. Horizon Zero Dawn. And what if it made it? I was very curious about how this bracket would have gone. I would have thought Until Dawn hit a weird part with me that I think in a different tournament bracket, could have dynamically changed the conversation.
Yeah. If you didn't give up so easily.
I think personally, if it was Final Fantasy VII versus Until Dawn, I think that would be a difficult decision.
No way.
That would have been a difficult decision for me to make.
Nah. Sure, but I know what the answer would be.
I'm thinking about Hayden in the towel right now. I'm just joking. Anyway, any final thoughts?
No.
There is one final thought.
Oh. Keep it educated.
Anyway, I get to the thing. They were like, "Oh yeah, I like the song Beep Boop, Beep Boop."
No.
And I'm like, me and this guy are like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Beep Boop, Beep Boop," and we're like, "What's like?" No one knows this song.
Yeah.
And I'm like, looking up Beep Boop. Like,
I already know what song she's referencing, but
do you know what song she's referencing?
Yeah, by Usher.
Yeah.
I get it.
Like, that was good.
That.
Beep Boop.
Beep boop.
Why that? But that's all she could have said.
No, right.
Oh, in the club with my
Yeah.
homies. You know, something.
Anything else?
Yeah. Okay.
No, it was Beep Boop, Beep Boop. And it took a while.
Okay. No, I knew right away, but I
Some people
don't like
that's
it.
That's a fake story.